Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of the Mangaluru Design Summit 2026. Yesterday's sessions invited us to reflect on the many forces shaping the city, from Mangalore's ecological and built heritage to the role of craft traditions, material responsibility, and cultural storytelling in imagining more sustainable futures. Across those conversations, one idea kept returning, that the future of our cities cannot be designed only through plans and policies, but through the knowledge, participation, and stewardship of the people who live here. And that brings us to our first panel today, the People's Plan, Community-Led Urban Futures. As Mangalore continues its journey towards becoming a smart city, an important question emerges. How do we ensure that development remains rooted in the voices, experiences, and aspirations of its communities? This conversation brings together perspectives from civic systems, grassroots initiatives, and design practice to explore how participatory planning and community leadership can help shape a more inclusive and resilient urban future. Moderating this discussion is Sharan Shetty, the CEO of the Coastal Karnataka Tourism Development Council, that's a mouthful, who works closely on shaping tourism and regional development across Karnataka. He is also the regional director of Terramore Estates, chapter chair of YI Mangaluru, and a principal artist at Y Inc. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Great. And so he brings both strategic and creative perspectives to the conversation about place and community. So please join me in welcoming Sharan Shetty on stage, and he'll introduce the panelists.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the People's Plan, Community-Led Urban Futures. I'm Sharan Shetty, and it's my privilege to moderate the vital conversation on embedding community engagement in Mangaluru's smart, sustainable, and climate-responsive future. Our panelists today, Ms. Divya Hegde is the founder of Beru, India's first AI-powered coastal waste recovery organization. Through a network of ocean guardians along Karnataka's coastline, Beru has recovered over 50,000 metric tons of ocean waste and operates India's first rural material recovery facility. A Google alumni, Northwestern graduate, and multi-year UN Women Leadership Award recipient, Divya combines innovation, regional culture, and community action to drive meaningful climate impact. Welcome, Divya. Next, we have Mr. Arun Prabha from Mangaluru Smart City Limited, who has been closely involved in driving key urban development initiatives in the city. His work focuses on building smarter, more sustainable infrastructure to enhance the quality of life for citizens. We look forward to his insights on shaping the future of our city. Welcome, Arun Prabha, sir. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Ashok Mendonca, the man donning multiple hats. An architect who also specializes in landscaping, comes from an agricultural family which has given him a deep-rooted connection to ecology, environment, and the realities faced by rural agrarian communities. Alongside his private consultancy, he has also contributed to shaping future architects through his role as the principal of Berry's Enviro Architecture Design School. His work brings together design, sustainability, and a strong sensitivity to the land and the communities it supports. Welcome, Mr. Ashok Mendonca. Welcome, audience, for gathering here this early in the morning. So let's start off this interaction interactively. Let's hear your opening thoughts on one core challenge. How can grassroots voice truly shape top-down smart city plans? Divya, if you'd like to begin.
Um, I think one way is honestly grassroots gets involved once the architecture is locked, the plans are finished, and then there is, and this is how the system has historically been. They get invited at a later stage for consultation, feedback forms, workshops, etc. So I think the question then is not how can grassroots really get louder, but where in this planning can grassroots get involved. We at a very small level have seen in Beru, and because we work primarily with the communities, if it is possible to involve them, use their infrastructure and their thoughts, work with it and plan it, and then bring in the improvements, we've seen that work better. But that's at a very micro level, at Beru level. But I do definitely think if people get involved before the architecture is locked, it's a better method.
I think that's a very important point, since the grassroots people are the stakeholders for and who are impacted most by this. It's very essential to identify and understand where their involvement is needed. Based on that, sir, Arun sir, so Smart City Plan has done a lot of projects as such. How do you think you can bridge the gap between the grassroots level people and the officials in terms of planning?
Good morning, everyone, and happy Women's Day. It's very nice to be here today. See, actually, Smart City Initiative probably is one such government program where the people's voice was heard. Right from the inception, the people were heard. Like there was a set, any government project, no, it comes as a need-based project. The projects are identified well in advance, and there is very little room to, make a lot of changes. As if I could call it that way, there is scope for changes, but then I think because this goes through a whole series of process like concept, DPR, and all that, and later it comes to implementation stage. Only when people get to know about a project, people start interacting with the authority, and the authority is not in a position to make changes. So I think the whole thing should start when the need itself is felt. That's where I think in future there's a need. Let's say we identify the need, and at that stage itself, we start involving people, the community, the planners, the authority, everyone on a single platform, and decide this is what we need and this is what we will build.
That's an excellent point, sir. Ashok sir, as an independent practitioner, what's one green infrastructure model you've seen work in blending ecology and urban growth here in Mangalore?
Thank you, Sharan. Before I go into that specific question, I would just like to come back to the original question. And the question being that how does the citizen participate? And a lot of times he feels he is not listened to, he cannot participate because a lot of things are happening at the higher level. So I would like to cover, it will take a little time, but I think you can cut some time from my next segment. So, as you are aware, with in '93, with the formation of this, there was a 74th constitutional amendment. Okay, that brought about something called Nagarpalika Act. Now, what is at the core of this is how do you empower people at the grassroots levels? I mean, if you take it in the right spirit, that is what it was framed to be. A lot of times, the people at the grassroots feel left out of the process, and it's always top down. And then how do you empower this? So, if you look at the provisions of that particular act, there is a certain amount of how to improve urban governance by institutionalizing it and empowering it. So there are primarily what it seeks to do is that depending upon whether it's a village or a larger city, you have Nagar Panchayats for villages, you have municipal councils for a medium-sized town, and you got municipal corporations which are actually structured in a manner that they bring forth the representatives. This devolves further where it goes down to the ward level. So there is something called the ward, the ward committees and the area sabha. In fact, one of the citizens here from Mangalore has taken a lot of effort to, to actually activate this process. One, Mr. Nigel Albuquerque, has spent a lot of time trying to bring this about, right? With Katniani Chamraj from Bangalore, I think he has worked towards that. He has gone to the writ petition, etc. So look at the merits of this, the whole thing now. Now, every city has, like Mangalore has got something like 60 wards, and each ward is kind of led by a corporator. And the corporators, the 60 corporators form the council, and then you have the mayor. In fact, the mayor is empowered to be more powerful than the commissioner. And the commissioner is supposed to be an executive person who supports the mayor in running these operations. Now, what happens is corporators are again divided on party lines. So what happens? There might be a situation, a ward committee which has got 10 members. There is a provision for good representation in the sense that 1/3, membership is reserved for women. There is SC, ST, and all these kind of socially empowering provisions are available. But despite that, there is a possibility that it can still be hijacked by the corporator. So what happens is, there comes the area sabha. Area sabha is no limit to the size. Any citizen can walk in for a meeting of that particular ward and bring forth issues which are impacting their locality. And those then, the minutes of those points get discussed in the ward committee, and that is put forward to the council. So you have a possibility of actually voicing from the grassroots level issues of consequence in that locality. Now, here there is something like 18 powers that are vested in these empowered urban local bodies, of which, because of budgetary reasons, only 4 are actually, like in case of Mangalore, only four functions are actually independent with the Mangalore City Corporation. This includes waste management, you got sanitation and healthcare. Third one is the registry of births and deaths, and fourth is regulation and management of the abattoirs or kasai khana. Only 4. The more important things which have an impact, like urban planning, your water supply, and a lot of other things are still with the the state government. So what is happening is, I think the citizen, to get that power, has to work towards devolving more such powers through the greater participation, so that actually there is the citizen is kind of empowered. Now, another area where a citizen can actually needs to work hard and which can have a lot of effect on the ground is, I come from the infrastructure background. I'm an architect by practice. What happens is that I said urban planning still some powers are still vested with the state government. We have 2 bodies here. One is we have a town planning department at the corporation which is executing the plans proposed by MUDA. MUDA is the other organization. Now, for any function, any institutional function, you require qualified people there. I see Caroline also here. If you go and see now, how many town planners do we have in these town planning departments? Forget town planners, you don't even have a bachelor of planning. There are something like 70 institutions in the country for bachelor of planning, master of planning, and masters of urban planning. These are critical, educational qualifications which impact the life on the ground. So as a citizen, I think we need to see how we populate those particular key positions with the right people, with the right qualifications and the right skills.
So basically, there are systems in place, but we need to figure out how to effectively utilize them.
Absolutely. So what's happening is, those of us who are thirsting for action, I think this is a lot of work here, which we can actually empower. Because you imagine that a person at the ward level, if he is able to bring forth issues, take it up to the council. Now here, what one limitation remains, for the reason that because of you can have a lot of plans for your locality, then it comes to the budget. So what happens is, like Mangalore has got a budget of around 880 crores, I think, per annum, of which only around 220 crores is generated with the local revenue. So there is the catch, that of course, in the prevailing situation, the state government still retains certain amount of power.
Got it.
Thank you.
So let's build on that. Divya, how do you think Beru can partner with smart city initiatives to integrate ocean plastic recovery and women circular economy training into Mangalore's coastal waste management?
I don't think it will be very complicated because we've done it before and the systems are in place. In Udupi and the other sites, what we've done is there are coastal and fisheries communities who are in need of supplemental income. Here I want to really differentiate between promising monthly salary and working with communities to find livelihood pathways for them. And this is something I think the waste management industry needs to take ownership of, which is historically communities, grassroots communities have been told, oh, this is garbage to gold, waste to wealth. But if there is no source segregation, that waste doesn't become wealth or even legible, right? And even with segregation, where does that wealth go to? Does it actually trickle down to the communities? So that's one differentiation. Communities are willing, they need to be trained. Training systems are also already in place. Government already has in many cases Swachh Bharat sheds. So there is nothing that needs to be done from scratch, but what is important and has to be done really well is coordination. That's where you have multiple stakeholders come in, and many times the ball drops when the question of who is taking care of this, who is responsible and accountable for this comes into question. So, and the last layer is of course traceability. When you go to any part, I'm not talking about just the coast, within India, right? Where we are also truly lacking is traceability and that compliance infrastructure, where we don't know the numbers, we don't know what's happening. So then we end up coming up with plans and proposals which may not be aligned with the ground truth. So truly it is important that traceability happens, and it has to happen from day one, so that then you're not reverse engineering numbers and results, and it is it's the sad truth, but many times what happens, somebody is coming for inspection, the universe is coming together to make things look all right, and then I wonder, wow, if this can happen this time, why can't it happen like as a regular system? And one last point, you know, citizens wanting to get involved. I've realized one key truth, it is there are citizens who want to get involved, some of them are in the audience and then some of them are on stage, they show up, they ask questions, it is frustrating, but everyone has one thing in common, they're supremely stubborn and supremely patient. But then there are times where we see the communication goes out, that so and so, not panel discussions like this, but the officers will throw open discussion days because there is some plan happening. It's the same faces that come again and again, but their communities are not supporting them. And many times even I've heard, nimge Monday pettu, nimge kelsa ilva, yake hogtiri kind of thing. Now if everyone is Monday pet and kelsa illa, even we get seen as these people don't have support in their own communities. So it's an amalgamation of things and everything, officials, activism, startups, NGOs, it all has to work together.
I think sometimes passionate people, the cause takes a backseat over convenience as well. All of us are really passionate about these causes, but again, convenience comes into picture, and then the whole idea is lost of contributing. Arun sir, you would like to add to what Divya has to say?
Yeah, I mean, in two parts. Basically, when see this word of management, waste management, all these managements, have taken over what actually has to be done. We broad base everything into management, then say, put in place the system, then we come and say, now consultation, then we go and say, oh, we have to revisit, and all this. So what I am always, I am convinced, and I am very convinced about one thing, that whenever you start something, you make a pilot project. See what's happening. Let's understand what's happening. See, a decision is taken in, say, New Delhi. A decision also is taken in Bangalore. Now, all these decisions are, and I'm not questioning the capability or the, very idea of this decision. But then whether one size fits all, a decision taken in New Delhi fits something in Bangalore. It doesn't. According to me, it doesn't. So what's happening is, in all these, options, in consultations and all that, a lot of people come to us. I'm just viewing it from my side. Waste management, there are 100 approaches. Okay. When, the city itself is loaded with tons and tons and tons of garbage, and we are at the brink of a disaster and all that, we're still discussing, what needs to be done. And there are 100 options. A lot of people come from every place and say, this is what we can do, and as Divya was telling, we can generate wealth. We can generate power, we can generate metal, we can generate so many things. Actually, as she very rightly said, see, garbage is garbage. It can never turn gold. Okay, garbage, reduce it. Then only I think the future, we become a bit future-proof and future-ready. Otherwise, there is no future at all. According to me, you reduce it. Then right away, see, whatever is backlog, you address it separately. But at least from today, you decide what you are going to do, what you are generating today, how you are processing it, how you are handling it, and all that. So this is where I think both the government and also the ruled, everyone has to come again, revisit this and say, this is where we are going to restart it.
Yeah. Do I add a few more points?
Yes.
See, I am again speaking in terms of, bottom up, you from the grassroots level. See, look at this, the problem a city like Bangalore faces with all the, the centralized kind of waste collection that is happening. We have something like the waste that is collected at Pachanadi. It's called legacy waste. I believe with all the processes that are running at this point of time, I believe it will take another 13 years to clear what is collected there. And daily, another 300 tons comes and is brought and dumped there. Each ward generates approximately 5 tons of waste. And now we have even from the peripheral suburban area, again the waste coming in. So I've been running some, at my level, running some, some kind of experiment to see how this can be managed. I live in an apartment, okay. So from 2020, I have been running a thing where I have 7 types of segregation happening. Fairly simple actually. What you get those plastic crates. You come and keep them in your common area in the apartment, and it could be cardboard, it could be paper, it could be bottles, it could be metal, it could be electronic waste, it could be, these kind of things are fairly easy to segregate. Now that, when we give waste, we have to ensure that it is clean, right? That is our responsibility. You can't have, leftover gravy in some plastic and throw it into a thing and expect someone else to clean it. And that is what exactly is happening with this Antony's waste collection. We think we put it in the dump, see, we need to be conscious about the dignity of those people who are actually handling it. It's very inhuman what is happening. So my concern was about what happens to the domestic wet waste. And that then I came across this trust bin. It's there was that 3-pot system earlier which did not have drainage of leachate matter which collects. Ultimately, this trust bin has got an anaerobic system of collection of things. And it has also got a leachate tap, okay. So what I've discovered over a period of time is, if I have 4 bins for my house, irrespective of whether living in of course, if you're living in a villa, you've got a yard, you've got coconut trees, you can manage things. But if you're living in an apartment, it's always a challenge. And I can openly tell you with confidence that even at an apartment level, it is easy to process. And therefore, I think as citizens, we have to ensure none of this waste goes actually into that, Pachanadi yard. The kind of smell that it has, the kind of trauma that people have to, in 2019, the whole mass started moving and 30 families had to be vacated in the middle of the night. And that is very inhuman. And think about all the leachate that goes into the drinking water and that kind of thing. I think it's a self-created problem, and I think there is a hope in the sense we don't have to worry about Delhi or anyone. I think we can manage our waste very easily here. Money in waste, yes, there is a lot of money in waste, actually, if it is segregated and channelized properly. I know of a person here who has made a lot of money where, of course, he has built this enterprise over decades actually. He had two children who were, skating enthusiasts. This man has he spent something like 4 CR to create a skating rink just for his kids, and that has become a kind of an amenity now. So there is money in this, but it has to be channelized, it has to be collected and segregated only then. And that means there is a lot of hidden labor involved in this.
That's very well said, sir. Moving on to the next round where we tackle culture, ecology and smart challenges. So Mangaluru has a very unique context. How do we protect heritage sites like our places of religious significance, the beaches, amid smart city growth, while building climate resilience? Ashok sir, would you like to start on that?
These days, heritage, of course, when you talk about religious places, etc., it is social infrastructure actually for the city. And coming from my background and some of the developments that we've been noticing in this locality, heritage is something that is linked to your memory, the culture, the experience that you have, and one likes to, what you are familiar with, you would like to perpetuate for a period of time. Now there is always this, I see a particular thing happening with, say, churches of Mangalore. The old churches are demolished and new churches are built. And then there are 2 camps there. One says, how can they desecrate this, old structure? And there is another camp which says, but of course we require a new church, right? So where does my choice come in there? I really do not know. If it was a project that I had to handle, yes, I had to look at this dispassionately and rationalize and say, well, what's your argument? What's your argument? If it is, so it could be, the capacity issue, it could be a maintenance issue, it could be a performance issue. Ultimately, the worshippers require a well-performing space. So I think it's about democratic processes which a particular set of people will have to take. So, great to conserve heritage, but if there is, when you've got a limited site and you've got one church to be, someone feels that is not serving the purpose under the need, yes, the best thing would be readapt to a certain extent, if it can be. I mean, it's the most logical thing to do. You are conserving resources, you are conserving money, and still maintaining that. But if we are very, there is a lot of religiosity in our society. So if the numbers have increased and the capacity is not sufficient, I don't know whether we can have that compromise. So that is my outlook to heritage. One thing is there, change is certain. I mean,
It's the only constant.
yeah. So what do you call, now of course, say for instance the Mangalore tiles, what we see, we consider as a heritage value now. At one time when they came in, when the Basel Mission came and started these units, this was a foreign material, new material. So now we have got options. So I think we'll have to look at it from that perspective.
I think it's a very tightrope walk there, and there's no right or wrong answer that would be broadly accepted by everyone. Arun sir, so does Smart City have policies prioritizing such ecology over infrastructure speed?
Yes. See, actually, the very idea of smart city, is sustainability. In every project we have done, sustainability is the guiding factor. Like, it may not be very, very evident now. See what the smart city has done, for the people to understand it and actually feel and maybe derive profits out of whatever we have done. It may take some time. What we have also done, staying on two things, the heritage and what Smart City has really done is, one, the Mangalore tiles. See, Mangalore tiles has been an identity of Mangalore. We are known world over for two things. Maybe one is Mangalore tiles and the other is Mangalore BDs. BDs I can't speak of, but tiles I can. And it might be shocking for you that we don't have a GI tag for Mangalore tiles. And to obtain a GI tag, there should be at least one manufacturing unit which should be producing tiles, at least to obtain it now. And sadly, even one factory does not exist in Mangalore which now produces Mangalore tiles. So this is the what respect we have for the history. This is the responsibility we show for what people have done. I think we should wake up. We should wake up to the fact that Mangalore, Mangaloreans, the coast, everything, we are a waterbound people, we are a waterbound city. And we have been telling every time, connect for a Mangalorean today to the water is when he crosses the bridge. Kolur, he'll see water. Netravati, he'll see some water. Otherwise, to get into the river, to touch river, Mangalorean does not have a point. This is what we have done to the city. So Mangalore Smart City, we have worked very hard to make the city look back at the rivers. So we have produced a waterfront promenade. We have taken back the city to Sultan Bathery. We have taken the city to Sujirkar Tile Factory and also Albuquerque and all that. We have opened up the entire riverfront of Mangalore. This is what we have done. See, development of a city, its life is large. Things cannot be done in 5 years, 10 years and all that. I am not asking for an extension for the smart city, but what I am asking is patience. Let's have some patience. There is something that has been started. Let's take it forward and look what we can do to improve on it.
I think Divya can shed light on your call to wake up with the activism that she does. Divya, your thoughts on this?
Do we have time? Okay. Just because it's Women's Day and the irony of me sitting on stage and hardly speaking, I will tell this one last point. We don't do activism. I'm going to push back on that. Activism has its place. Beru does not do that. I want to make that clear. What we have tried to do, and I come from a place of I'm not even from the space of waste management. I'm someone who got very irritated with status quo from another district. And I said, how can I solve for this? Will they respond to me if I go and stage a protest? How do I bring stakeholders together? And one thing I very quickly realized was the language of climate communications that we use is so highbrow. You want the locals to participate, but when I go and talk to them about, the planet will heat 1.5 degrees more, they're already boiling in this heat, yeah? 1.5 degrees more doesn't resonate with them. For communities, it is climate change is seen as loss of livelihoods, migration, health, etc. And why we work especially with women is they are some of the boldest workers around here. They do not have that ego for waste management, and in many rooms they are not given opportunities to work. That is how we started. So it's some learning, it's some stumbling, and it's a lot of talking to a lot of people. And we saw that Yakshagana is so close to the people of this coast. And as artists, they are also getting less and less shows. We said, can we combine the two? Have a culture for climate vertical where we generate income for these artists, right? And then we come up with Beware of Plasticasura, which we take to schools, colleges, startup events, government events, corporate events. The money goes to these artists. And they talk about when you throw plastic away, or forget plastic, garbage away, where is this away? Straight from where you're doing an Olympic throw on the bridge into the stomach of the fish and back onto your plate. Now if I come to anyone's house and I give one Ardha Gante, half an hour lecture about why waste management is not done properly, you have to do properly, etc. I have personally seen people shake their heads so fast so that I leave. And the moment I turn around, that pamphlet that I gave is balled up and it adds to the waste. And that's why we said, can we look at the climate communications piece? That's how we brought heritage in, and it need not be restricted to Yakshagana. It can be many other things, and it can be many people coming together. So that's how we have approached it.
I think that's a very innovative way to spread the message or connect with the people with something, with something that's close or there's something that they identify with, right? So moving on to the next round, actionable futures and challenges. What's one bold community-led proposal for Mangalore's next 5 years, and what potential roadblocks you see in the future? Divya?
We will end at this. I think we have seen in Udupi ward level and decentralized waste management. If at a ward level people can get involved, and there has to be commitment both from the official side and the community side, it really will work. Instead of waiting for large that will happen, large projects, etc. will happen, but at least at our levels, if segregation is started, I think, and people get involved, it is possible. So ownership is that one bold thing.
Your thoughts on that?
I think, yes, I endorse what Divya said. Community level, at the very, very grassroots level, the Beru level, I think that's where we should start. And of course, a lot of things will happen. There will be a point where we converge. I think we should start from the grassroots.
Your thoughts on this, Ashok sir?
I think the point that she makes is something called decentralization of the waste, and it is already acted upon. The government has already set up something called command area kind of a concept, where waste had to be actually be handled at the ward level itself, right? So there is a lot of scope for actually working on this as a citizen to realize all these provisions already made by the government. So I think the cause is not lost.
I think very powerful words, very interesting ideas shared. Thank you, panelists and audience, for this being a part of this and having this dialogue with us. Do we have time for audience questions?
Oh, this panel is half audience questions. This is
All
the
right.
people's plan.
Of course.
And so we will definitely give each one from the audience a space to ask the questions.
Sure.
Yeah. So audience, anyone has a question?
Possibly I would add a few lines to Ashok's comment. When an old structure is redundant to whatever effect, whenever we want to reconstruct it, possibly we could use the same style and the heritage value could be enhanced and retained. That could be an idea. Otherwise, what's the use of having a building in Mangalore which doesn't belong to Mangalore? Arun Prabha's idea of tile factory, there are still 3 tile factories remaining, fortunately. Albuquerque, and there are 2 in some in Ganjamata, that area, or the Raj Tile Works and something else. So still there's scope for a GI tag, I think. Because Mangalore tiles properly put are still the best, I would say, waterproofing agent.
Absolutely.
And one more thing I've realized is why the Mangalore tiles have nearly disappeared is that they are too good. Once you put it, they last for 100 years. Nothing happens to it. So where is the question of replacement? Whereas today, nothing lasts more than 5 years, 10 years. So make it that way. So the industry continues. I think that's been we have to do something on that score.
Thank
I'll
you,
make
sir.
a small quick observation why Mangalore tiles, as a building material, they disappeared. See, it's not the mistake of the Mangalore tiles, but it's the mistake of the wood that they were using. The wood, they used for the structure, they were not seasoned. Like, the wood would give way, the reapers would give way, so the tiles would not stay the way they stayed long ago. Now, most of the time we are using square tubes, hollow tubes and all that. The holding material is better now. I think there is a case for Mangalore tiles to come back, and I think Ashok Mendonca has a responsibility to do it. The more he does, the more he advises the clients, probably Mangalore tiles can come back.
Quick comment on that. Just as in the church committee there is a democratic process, even in a house there will be the older generation and the younger generation. They do have a conversation. We are like, we bring the skills to realize their aspirations. So that's about it. I think that this decision has to be fundamentally taken by, say, the owners of that particular property.
Thank you for that. I think we have one more person, a few more people actually.
Sure.
And can we fix the screen?
My question is more on commentary, but so the thing is, if you see Mangalore right now, see a lot of tons of money going into the real estate segment, right? But it's more on apartments, right? Which is a very, if you are, in my opinion, a low yield asset. Is there any thought among, the real estate community, NGOs, as well as the government, how do we better channelize this money into things which become like social capital for all of us? Like, what I mean is, now the tourism initiatives. Right now, it's a lot of single person or a very small group of private entity. Is there any way of getting more public involvement, public money through better financial structures to make it more accessible? Too complex question? Think of it like a mutual fund, but for tourism. Think of it that way.
People are really trusting mutual funds less and less, so maybe we should not do that. I think it is multiple layers. I get what you're saying, but what happens is there is serious tension between the coastline and the construction right now. There is no two ways about it. In many rooms, the same people who say, Mangalore, Udupi is not what it used to be. There's so much serious construction happening, etc. Are also the same people who want, in many ways, overdevelopment. They want the business. So there is a little bit of armchair criticism and dialogue and thumbnail raging over there. And when NGOs or social startups or civil society comes into the system, there's already a tension that, oh my God, these people will come and there will be no development. There is no patience to listen to the other side. I think that has to be developed, and there has to be a central agency, whether it's government or somewhere else, or a coalition where these conversations happen. Because no one is saying development or financial betterment shouldn't happen. But it really needs to be planned in a better way. Not sure if, like a mutual fund sort of a thing is the way to go. And honestly, I don't have the solution right off the bat right now. It's a very complex topic. Happy to take it off stage. But no, I don't think a public pool is the way to go, because public already pays taxes, right? So, not to put down your idea, but why this may not work is because taxes are already being paid.
Good morning. My question is to Ashok sir. So I totally believe in democracy. I wanted to ask, at what stage in urban planning and transport infrastructure public participation is involved? Hello? Okay. At what stage is public participation involved in urban planning and transportation decisions?
I covered this in my earlier comments.
No, why I asked, and I complete that statement. Why I asked, for example, recently there was a decision that a divider, that highway which was going to the Vyasnagara was completely locked. And people have to take a complete U-turn around 2 kilometers ahead from under the Kuntikana side. Okay, the people who are staying in the Vyasnagar, for them Kadri Park was very close. For now, they have to give 40 rupees or 50 rupees extra by auto for this thing. So it made a little difference for the people who used a public amenity, firstly. Secondly, this decision again created a havoc in that region of that U-turn, where in front there is an AJ hospital and a U-turn. So was there any traffic impact assessment was done before this decision was taken?
Valid points, because see, what we see is finally what manifests on the streets now. Now, how does that come about is because of poor planning. And how does poor planning happen? Because we don't have the right skills occupying those offices. How can you have civil diploma guys managing town planning departments? I'll give you a small example. Town planning department handles all the built environment in Mangalore. Okay, the equivalent of that would be a Venlock hospital, district hospital, handling all the medical cases in the district. There are various departments, ENT, and each department has got its own set of specializations. Imagine a physiotherapist handling an orthopedic case. So that is the case as far as town planning is concerned in Bangalore. So unless you have a well-evolved kind of urban planning, and I told you there are so many specialization. Transport planning is a domain by itself. Conservation is a domain by itself. I am not a very competent person as against a conservation specialist in the field of heritage and conservation. So what is happening is the right people are not finding jobs in the right place. Or the system of anything goes kind of thing is impacting us badly. And we finally see it in how it manifests on the streets.
One more question. This is to Arun sir. Sir, I totally agree again that smart city proposals are taking sustainability as an important factor. But my one question is Kaur Kere. When it started, sustainability was there. It was for the public. But now when I see the condition there, I'm feeling a little disheartened.
I just want to add to this question. Has there been some kept for maintenance towards the projects that have been implemented by the smart city? Because it's not just a one-off thing, you put nice tiles, you plant a few saplings, and then just let it be. Is there a maintenance fund? And also, do we have a fund to maintain our rivers? It's not just okay to turn towards the river, but smell something bad. So those are our...
Yes, the answer for everything is an yes. See, we have a maintenance plan. Actually, it depends on who the owner of the particular work is. Like for Kavurkere, see, there are certain things, this belonged to minor irrigation department when we started. That means we had to develop it and we had to give it back to minor irrigation, which we did. The minor irrigation department says that it does not have the capacity to maintain it. So it has come back to the corporation. Now we have not earmarked any fund for Kavurkere. See, there are certain things, which may take some time for me to explain. Because Kavur is not inside the ABD area. Mangalore Smart City is developed on a concept of ABD area. Kavurkere was taken as a rejuvenation project, for which we hadn't kept any money, because the parent department, the MI, that had to take care of that. I agree with you. See, we have done a great job, but if today someone tells me that Smart City has done it, I am ashamed. The status of Kavurkere today is very bad, but then we have another plan. It should not have happened in the first place. The deterioration should not have taken place. Today we have joined again to see that something is done, some de-weeding is done, and we find a party to maintain it, NGO or some sort of a thing, like we have done for Gujarakere. Be assured something will happen very soon. And regarding the rivers again, see, our idea is the more people go to the river edge, the more better it will be. See, why all this happen is because of utter neglect. We have not gone to the rivers. We have not seen what's happening, how much of pollution is entering the rivers. We are not, because we just turned our back. Now, even if Smart City is able to take the citizens to the river, I'm sure there is a watchdog sort of a ecosystem created. And in the future, I don't think, now citizens are more empowered, they are more intelligent, they are more, they are very aggressive and all that. I don't think it will be repeated again. What's happened in the last 20, 30, 40 years may not happen in the next 20, 30, 40 years. This something, I'm very sure all of us joined together will take care of it.
Thank you, sir. I just want to ask one more thing. We are professionals. I'm a conservation architect and conservation heritage planning professional. I have my colleague here who's an urban designer. How can we contribute to Smart Cities plan and vision? How do we come together at the table as professors at an architecture college? We have an army of students with us. We do documentation, we do projects that are part of the Smart Cities vision. How do we sit at the same table and work for a plan towards Mangalore?
Please come into our office. Please collaborate with us. We have seen all these 5-6 years, we had more than 300 interns from various schools of architecture, even from outside the state. Someone so close to Mangalore, someone in Mangalore, our doors are always open. See, what do we have? What's our capacity? 20, 30 people. No, we are just implementing what's decided. We have not, done great things, but we have started off. People like you, if you come into our system, in whatever capacity you can, we have an MOU with your institution. We also have a lot of, tools which could be used by you all. I think together we can achieve more. That's what should happen. Please come to my office tomorrow itself. Let's start it tomorrow itself.
Yes, sir, I will be there.
Can we?
One second. I just want to add to this concept of this smart city tag is much criticized actually. And I think it's a PR problem primarily. I was tasked by KCCI to actually be the chair of the Smart City and Development chair. And see, the Smart City is a good concept by itself. That so what is the allocation of funds? We are looking at something 500 CR. It's around 1,000 crore that is available. Now you can't transform and make the entire city smart. The whole idea was planned in such a manner that you do one portion well, set the standard, so that as and when the funds are available, the rest of the city could be built on those lines. Be it a segment of road, or be it a certain pocket of space, etc. But the general feeling with the public is that smart city means once that project starts, the entire city is going to be totally smart and would completely transform. So that is, I think, a misconception, and it's clearly a PR problem.
Just one sentence. See, actually smart cities did not start as smart cities. When the concept was made, it was supposed to be trust cities, that people trust in their own city. This is how it started. Someone added this smart tag and it became smart cities. Now I think we have to live with this tag that people tell Mangalore was smart from the beginning. What have we done? Nothing. We have done nothing for Mangalore to be smart, more smarter.
That's why labels are also so important. Labels are important. How we define things sets the stage. Do we have any more questions from the back? Would love to hear from some younger voices and inquiring minds. Jose? Yes?
Okay, I actually had a question. First I'll ask my question, then I'll elaborate on it. The thing is, if you, should the in charge or the responsibility given primarily to the system or the civilians? Okay, if I go on to elaborate this, taking the parameters such as time, then the workforce, and many other sections, like compare it to waste management or development, infrastructure. Civilians in a democracy, if we come together, we can get the work done. But to educate people, to get everyone involved, and to get everyone on the same surface, like everyone to agree on the same point that yes, pollution is happening or stuff is going wrong there and it is our fault, get everyone accepted, the narrow-minded people as well, and function on it, it may take a large amount of time, which is exactly why these initiatives are kind of going slow. Not wrong, slow. But if we give almost the entire control to the authority, the mediocrity people on the top, and allow them to make the decisions that things are going wrong here and enforce the decisions without any, enforce the decisions ruthlessly, would it make a difference, is my question. Should it be a dictatorship type of thing? Authoritarian type of thing?
Okay. Do you have a specific person that you want the answer from?
No.
Okay.
Divya?
All right. I'll tell you how I started. I went and fought with someone in a panchayat. Okay. I'm not saying that's the most brilliant thing to do. I was just telling the panelists before we got on stage that I got into it because of ego. And I'm staying in it because of pride. Okay. And Ashok sir said that's not necessarily a bad thing. Why I mentioned pride is because first, a place remains good or improves because people need to have pride in that place. If we think that, oh, that's not my headache, somebody else is responsible for it, they will take care of it or not. Tourism is rushing to the coast. It is going to be a trash versus tourism situation. We have seen people say, you know, we don't want to correct the tourists because then they'll not come, they'll be pissed, they'll be feeling bad with us. If you do not correct the tourists, they will just entirely stop coming to the place. This ties directly to the income and the financial improvement of communities and the coast. We are saying, you know, people come back Mangalore is not what it used to be, Udupi is not what it used to be, things are getting better, we have clean air, we have no traffic, we have great beaches. If we don't take care of all of it, you're in a great inflection point to become a Bangalore. And I'm someone who's had one foot there and one foot here. So we can see before our eyes things changing. And to answer your question directly, it cannot be an either or. Is it this system or that system, this NGO or that government? It has to be both, it has to be multiple. Because if I think purely from an ocean standpoint, ocean is an economic multiplier. You have fisheries, you have tourism, you have real estate, you have aquaculture that comes as part of the thing. So there are so many livelihoods. Health, no one, you pull up the last 10 years data, public health, it is astonishingly scary. No one is making that connection. So is it the government or civil society? It has to be both. It has to be business people. It has to be startups. It has to be students. And we have this habit of making excuses for bad behavior. Oh, they're just young. Oh, they're too old. Right? No, it has to be contributed from all sides. And I'm saying this because I've said, oh, the government has to do its job. When the government does its job, who are the ones joining hands with them? Oh, the people have to push for it. When the people push, is there a tug from the other side? Is there a pull or a push from the other side? And how many of us have the patience to relentlessly pursue this? This is a full-time job. And I'm not saying that everyone should leave their livelihoods and life and do it full-time. But if everyone can consider it a part of a culture or a lifestyle and not an additional job to be done, then all stakeholders can be streamlined. And it's really easier said than done. We've been trying to do it for 5 years. We are seeing changes now. But how many people stick around for 5 years? Because, I mean, it's YOLO. Everyone, it's one life for everyone. And people take decisions at some point. So it cannot be an either or. It has to be everyone coming together. And it has to be some crazy people relentlessly hammering away at it on all sides of the pound, not just citizens.
Thank you so much, everyone. We will end our Q&A for now. And I'd like to say that, again, I wish we could continue this conversation because obviously everyone is extremely passionate. They have their ideas of how they want to develop the city that they live in and they love. And I think the People's Plan, as the title is, has been superbly successful because we have on record, by the way, an open invitation by Smart Cities to the public to come in and collaborate. And so I think there is no better success metric than visible collaboration. So thank you so much for that. So thank you, Sharan, and thank you to all the panelists for such a thoughtful and engaging discussion. The conversation obviously reminds us that building the future of our cities is not just about infrastructure and technology. It is about participation. It is about consistency, collaboration, investment, and ensuring that community voices remain at the center of planning and decision making. And to express our appreciation, I'd like to call Alka Manoj on the stage to give you a memento of our gratitude. And we'd like all the panelists and moderator to take a photograph after this. Divya, I think you photobombed there. If you all can come, step in front. Yeah, step in front of the